Be the real you.
Yes, be the real you.
Why aren't people more real with each other? This is kind of a whacked topic to me because I live in the real. I try to anyway, and I have been. And I suppose there was a time in my life where I didn't, where I was trying to put on masks to protect myself and had to do that. But when you kind of like remove those layers and then let the whole world see who you really are, I think people are so afraid of that. And we're definitely going to talk about all of that today. What's up, Britt?
What's up, Jimmy?
I love just starting to talk because usually when we come on the show, we've already kind of been chit-chatting and jibber-jabbering because we do that anyway. But like this topic today of being the real you is so sorely needed. Authenticity seems to be really a lost art these days.
Yes, and I think you kind of touched on it, is there's so much fear around being yourself. It's easier to get rejected by being a version of yourself that's not the real you than it is to be the full authentic version of yourself and be rejected as that. It's difficult.
Let's dig one step deeper on this because I want people, you guys watching right now, we love you. We're having a growing fan base. We really appreciate you watching us wherever you watch us, whether it's on YouTube or on the One Step Deeper podcast community page. We love you guys. Thank you for growing us on the Instagram page, One Step Deeper podcast, or if you're listening to our new podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts. We want you to know that we're trying to help you uncover why you do things the way you do. And one of the things we do is we like to cover up and not show people our real selves. But like, what's going to happen? Like, what's the worst case scenario if everybody just suddenly said, I want to be the real you? Oh, by the way, Miss Brittany, not wearing makeup today, not wearing those beautiful lashes, not really all dolled up in her clothing, because you're showing this is what Brittany looks like, the real Brittany, all the time. Guess what? This is the way I always look because I'm always the real Jimmy. So
Oh
what
God.
is here? Why are people so hesitant about wanting to be themselves when if we just all were ourselves, we wouldn't have to play these games of, all right, which version of me did I create for that person? It's almost like you're lying to people.
Yeah, lying is, I mean, it really is the bare truth of it. That's really what's going on. But again, I go back to people are afraid to be the real them. And then I'm going to take it even one step deeper. People don't know who the hell they are. They
Yeah.
don't know who the real version of themselves are because they've played this game for so long, they don't know.
And the game was started when they were very young and they were told you are this, you are that, implanted into their brain, implanted into their psyche at the very moment when that's being developed. And so then it becomes who you are, even though it was never who you are. It's this whole, did you learn it or were you born with it?
I'm sorry, like, yes, like I just want to scream into the camera because like that's it. Were you born with it or was it taught to you? And so much of our personality is tied up into that. And as an adult, I've had to, I call it reparent myself. And there's a lot of people in that community that do that of, wait a minute, is this something that I was taught or is this something that I was born with? And this idea that you can find yourself later in life is bullshit. I'm sorry. Like, Brianca's out. It's early in the morning at 7 a.m. I barely had coffee, okay? There's no journey to find yourself. You're not at the end of the freaking rainbow, okay? You create yourself. You look at other people and say, I like how that person is. You figure out why they are the way they are, and you're like, I want to be like that. Then you do it. You create who you are. And so if you want to be the real you, you kind of have to find out who the hell the real you is in order to do that.
Oh my gosh. So just the other day, you and I were chatting like we always do. It's funny, our chats kind of tapered off when we first started doing the podcast, but now we've kind of ramped them back up again on top of what we do on the podcast, which I love, by the way. I love talking to you, and we're friends. That's what you do. But one of the things that you shared was, hey, you're watching movies on Prime. You should look up this thing called Peanut Butter Falcon. Of course, as soon as I heard it, I went, Okay, that kind of sounds hokey. What? And I start watching this movie. Just I don't want to spoil it for people, but briefly, it's this Down syndrome kid in a facility. He doesn't want to be there. Been there a while, and he escapes. And when he escapes, he finally gets to be the real him, and a beautiful human being. Found parts of himself that, but for breaking out of that prison basically he was in with a bunch of old people, he would have never found out. And here was the fun part of the movie. You didn't even know it was going to relate to today's show, but maybe you did, and this was your subliminal message. But when he got out, he found somebody that cared about him enough to help motivate him and develop him. Guys, the people that are caring about you is me and Brittany, and we're here to help you flourish and thrive and go and become the you you're supposed to be. Thank you, by the way, for that movie, because by the end I was just like, they're going to Florida. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was such a cute, like, wholesome type movie with some comedic relief in there, which is the type that I love. I love, like, a little bit of serious, but a lot of comedic relief thrown in. But anyway, it was a really cute movie, and I completely oh my goodness, hold on.
Inadvertent.
Suggested that. I didn't realize how it would tie in with today, but it worked out extremely well because it is the truth. He kind of went on this and he was finally just broke free. The movie starts with him breaking out of a window with nothing but his underwear. It's really cool, and it's just like, what is going on here? But yeah, it was such a good movie, and then it really ties into what we're talking about today of just be the real you. And if you need to escape to be the real you, maybe you need to do that.
It might not be a literal escape physically, but it could be a mental escape from those games you're playing in your head. Climb out that window in your underwear and run down the road like a madman, because eventually you're going to find people that will help you, and you're going to find things about yourself you didn't know. Yeah, again, by the way, Peanut Butter Falcon, go look it up on Amazon Prime Video. I might watch it again. It was that good.
Yeah, it's really cute. But going back to, you pointed out that I don't have on makeup today, and that is by design. The last time we came in to record, my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, and I facilitate within them be the real you from infancy. Like, it is so important to me to facilitate that. And again, I don't tell them like, oh, you're at the end of the rainbow, let's go find you. No, let's create the you that you want to be. They see other people, they see adults, they're around people, they're like, I like that trait and that quality, I want to be like that. Okay, cool, what can we do to get there? How can we be that person?
But isn't that a little bit, I mean, I suppose if you admire traits in other people, maybe it's highlighting traits within you that is the real you, but there's also a danger there that you see traits in other people that you then covet that you ain't never going to get. Jimmy would have loved to have had some traits of being able to shoot a three-pointer enough to go to the NBA. That would have been cool. But Jimmy didn't do that.
Right. I guess I should clarify and say I'm speaking more of like personality of, hey, they're really organized. I would love to be that way. What can I do to be more like that?
But even within that context, what if your natural inclination is not to organize? I'm not an organizer. I can go through life and get through life just fine without having every little thing stacked up just so I don't have to have my every hour of my day planned. Like, to me, that's not me. To me, I'm very spontaneous. I'm very, what am I thinking about and feeling at the moment, like in my content and my work. Like, some days I wake up and I go, oh my gosh, there it is. And I just have an idea. 15, 20 minutes later, pop out a post. And that's just the way I am. Whereas I know some people that will plan out 6 months ahead of time exactly what they're going to do and what time they're going to release it. I'm just like, I could never be that way.
Yeah, and but maybe in an attempt to be like a certain person, you're like, yeah, that's not me. And that's another thing that I facilitate within my children that I feel like society in general misses out on, is they don't facilitate that with children until they're adults. And now you have this adult who's in college trying to figure out, what the hell am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I want to do. I try to do that with my kids. Hey, you want to learn about geology? Let's do it. And if that doesn't pan out, cool. You want to learn about marine biology? Cool, let's do it. Let's do that while they're 5, 6, 7 on up until they're older.
Well, that's a different context. I think in the context of children and you being their parent, by all means, although I know a lot of parents that step over the line of facilitating and they become mandating and dictating what they should and should not do, which is where a lot of the strife happens in the teenage years. And I know you're already awaiting those days here, in circa 5 to 10 years from now. And it's just, yeah, that's a totally different beast than I think what we're talking about here. I'm thinking of adults when I'm saying these things of, all right, you count out there. And I suppose you bring up a really good point. I suppose if you never got taught kind of the core of who you are at a very early age, I never was. And you weren't either. Like you were, I would even say it was the opposite. I was told, don't be me. Because when those little tendencies that were natural for me wanted to come out, it was squelched with physical abuse, emotional abuse. You don't do that. You fall in line. This is what you do. And so when I go out into the real world as an adult, I'm going, am I allowed to be me now? Can I do that? And it took me a long time, Brittany, layer upon layer upon layer that had been covered on top of me of not being me before I found the Jimmy Moore that I love to death now.
Right, exactly. And that was the same thing for me. And so bringing the children talk into it was really just me saying, hey, I'm trying to do this with my kids. Like, I didn't create myself until I was in my mid to late 20s. So I love the version that I am. Yes, where I am now. I'm 28. So this is where, and I love where I am now. I'm reading a book by L. Russ called Confident as and I am loving it so much, and I feel like that's where I am right now. I didn't realize that what was birth was confidence out of where I am now, and her just kind of pointing it out. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Definitely check that book out, guys. I'm telling you, it's so good. But bringing back the children talks, I want to say like why I look like this today. I haven't gotten it out yet. So Cammie come in last week, my oldest, and she's like, Mom, where are we going? Because I was putting on makeup. I was like, we're not going anywhere. I have a podcast I'm recording. She's like, why are you putting on makeup? And I let her play with makeup. I play with makeup. It's fun. It's an expression for us. It's not if I wear makeup, I'm beautiful. If I don't wear makeup, I'm not. It's not like that for us. But she really like pushed the envelope. She was like, hey, Mom, like you're trying, be the real you. Why are you putting on makeup in front of the camera? Why are you trying to be something that you're not? And I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right. I don't have time to take my makeup off. I've already put the work in, but I promise you I will do an episode where I show up authentically. This is the real me.
And that is why we're doing this show today. It's all Cammie's fault.
It's Cammie's fault. Yes, my 8-year-old inspired our podcast today.
It's funny because when you and I talk, we go very deep when we talk. And it's so weird because we don't really have an agenda. We just talk. But sometimes things come out and I go, ooh, we need to do a whole show just on that. Like, I don't want our friendship to just be a content maker. It just happens. It just happens. And organically, that's why this show, I think, is resonating with people because we're not two people trying to do a show. And I'm definitely fighting every interview skill I have. I sometimes do turn into that a little bit, but that's just natural inclination. That's who I am. It's who I'm and what I'm good at. But I do fight that on this show just a little bit so I can be a little more authentic. Yeah.
And you saying that's just who I am, that kind of triggered something in me and going a different path, talking about be the real you. If the real you is an asshole, then you need to work on yourself.
Yes.
I'm sorry. There is no way around that. There are too many people that's like, oh, this is just who I am. And they use it as an excuse to fuel their bullshit.
Oh, and they even say, this is who I am. Just deal with it. It's who I am. I'm not going to change. I can't change because it's who I am. Those people bug the crap out of me because, they're the ones that, I've talked about. I like watching the Karen videos. The Karens are very much, that's who I am. Deal with me.
Oh gosh, we all are sitting here. We all have somebody in our brain right now that has said that to us of this is just how I am. It's just how I am. It's just how I am. And those people drive me insane because I've never been okay with just being that's just how I am. Like if there's a quirk about me and I see, oh, that triggered me, I need to work on that, not that triggered me, let me just be an asshole. Like I can't, that doesn't compute in my brain. And so the real me is always growing and is always challenging myself and is always learning more about myself. I think the greatest thing that we have been given to learn about is ourselves. But how many people do you know try to learn about their personality? Go back last week on episode 6 and learn about your Enneagram. How many people do that? Very few that I know.
Yeah, and here's the fact, guys. Get ready. When you become the real you, not everybody's gonna like you. And I think that's what drives people to be something other than themselves. They just want to be liked. I think it's a natural inclination. And trust me, I've been an online public figure for 16 years. Everybody ain't gonna like you. You're gonna get some people that not only won't like you, they will tell you how much they don't like you. And that's okay. Like I've been called every name in the book of, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And I'm just like, okay, I'm good with that. Like if I'm not your cup of tea, go to somebody else that is. If you want somebody to be a little more of an asshole, there's plenty of them out there. Go follow them. Jimmy's going to be Jimmy. And if you like me, you like me, and great. If you don't like me, move on, and no harm, no foul.
It's such an odd place to get to that. So I was definitely a people pleaser as I grew up, and I, depending on who I was around, would try to fit in their box of what I was supposed to look like. And I think a big example of this is I had zero desire to go to college, zero. But it was something that I was in the top of my class, and pretty much everybody just expected me to go because I had good grades, but I didn't want to go to college, but I did because everybody expected me to. And what happened? Year and a half in, I was like, meh, I don't like this. And I quit. So what was the point anyway? And I have accepted that that year and a half taught me something. There was a lesson learned in there, but I wasn't being the real me, and I wasted a year and a half of my life. I don't know. Wasted is a tough word. Like that's, I don't know. That's a strong word, but
Invested in the future you.
yes, yes. And I do find value in the time that I was in college and what I learned there. I do find value in it, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
And we circling back to what I teach with my kids, I have been accused so many times within my family of, oh, this is just another new thing that Brittany does. No, this is just another new thing that Brittany's trying to create and see, oh, is this it? Oh, is this it? Is this the thing? And I love being an eclectic person and have the abilities to do a lot of things good instead of one thing amazing. Like I like if you have a question about a computer, I could probably figure it out. If you got a question about something else, I can probably figure it out. I was going to help my sister yesterday with probability and statistics homework. Like I can do that, and I like that is the real me. I like a little bit of everything, and I can talk about a little bit of everything.
And you like to therapy people. That's another thing you're good at.
Yes.
I could go down the list of all the things you're good at, but yeah, you're really good at all of those things. And it's wonderful. By the way, when you said you were top of your class and you were forced to go to college, and that's when you found out you didn't really want to do that and found out the real you, it's funny you say that because the valedictorian of my high school, she was captain of the cheerleader squad. She had the best GPA in the whole school, super smart. Like we were all reading like one version of tech, and she was reading Les Miserables because she was so bored with what we were reading. And if you've never read Les Miserables, go read the book. It's really cool. But back then it was nerdy. Anyway, so she kind of had this raw vibe of nerdy but beautiful. And oh wow, she's going to do great. So she goes off to Vanderbilt University, a very prestigious university in Tennessee, and proceeds to drop out a year later. And everybody was shocked. And then she gets pregnant, and just things happen in her life. And it's like we have these expectations of other people based on them not being who they really are. Like, she had captain of the cheerleader squad. She had full ride scholarship to Vandy. And it just wasn't who she wanted to be. And today she's an online marketing executive and thriving in her life and has an adult child. And it's just all these things that we put on ourselves thinking they're the real us. And then we find out when we stop playing the game who the real us is. We find greater enjoyment in that real us rather than that fake version of ourselves.
Absolutely. And everybody watching, I want to tell you, not only give yourself the permission to be the real you, but freaking give other people the permission. I'm so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of people like, oh, you've changed. No, I haven't. This is the real me. If you can't hold space for me the way I am right now in your life, that's okay with me. This is the real me. I love you, but if you need to keep distance from me because of some way that I am, I love you, but that's just going to be how it has to work. Like, please give people permission to be the real version of themselves, please.
Why do we put people in boxes like that? Is it for our own comfort and maybe our own insecurity about being fake, that we don't like it when people are being real? Like, I get that a lot. People are like, you're way too, you express way too much online. It's too real. I'm like, what does too real mean? I'm
Wow.
like, I'm being Jimmy. Like, I can't tamper down. I guess I could tamper down who Jimmy is, but I won't. I refuse to be anything but 100% authentic. Like, I've lived a lot of my life not being my true self. I put on the face and put on the layers like we've been talking about pretty much most of my life. And I'm at the age now where I really don't want to do that. I don't have many more years left on this earth, enough, but not enough to go, well, I'll just keep hiding. I'll keep hiding. No, I want to live and thrive, and people that are my tribe will come to me. People who aren't can go away and do whatever they want to do, live their sheltered, mask-filled life. But I'm going to be me, and take me or leave me.
Nobody has enough time. Nobody has enough time to play that game. Like, we all, and I know last year was really a catalyst for me to become this version of myself. Last year, anybody else just feel like 2020 was a major catalyst, and I don't give a flying you know what anymore. Like, I just cannot care. I love you, but I cannot be anything but the real me. And I know 2021 shaping up to be the same way. I just cannot. I can't, and I won't. Like you said, I won't. I've craved real and authenticity for so long in my life, and this talk can go so deep within religion, within family construct, with all of that, with relationships with spouse, with relationships with children. Like, I have just blown the lid off of all of those and some more of, when it comes to religion. No, I'm going to be myself. I'm not fitting into a box. I have my own beliefs. I've developed my own things. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, we've got a whole episode we want to do down the road, all about all the kind of narratives of shaping you into who you should be, the kind of shoulding yourself based on religion kind of things. That's coming up a few months from now. We've got other things we want to talk about, but it's coming up. But yeah, so much of society wants you to conform, and conformity is the loss of self. And I don't want people to ever think that you have to be anything but exactly who you are. Be the real you. Be authentic to who you are, even if it comes with consequences. I know people write to me all the time. They're building a brand online. They've got a certain amount of following. And, if I say this, I'm going to make this people mad, and I'll lose followers. If I say this, I'll make people mad. You see my stuff. I don't care what I post because it's what I feel. And my tribe sticks around. And I did lose some followers last year talking about things. But guess what? I got new tribe, and that tribe's still growing that like what I'm saying. So you're always going to have the ebb and flow. Stop living your life for other people and be authentic to exactly who you are. The real you. The real you is pretty cool.
And to that, like, even you and I, And this goes back to the, hey, let people be the real them. Even you and I butted heads on some of the things you posted last year. We even had tough conversations
Yeah.
about things that were happening, but I respected that that's Jimmy's opinion on it. And hey, I'm going to share my opinion. There don't need to be any screaming or hollering or nothing like that or cutting people out. Hey, this is what you believe. This is what I believe. Let's try to, I don't like the term agree to disagree. I really, let's agree to have different opinions. um Disagree just feels like such a negative word, but I know where it comes from. And so uh yeah, like, be the real you and give the people in your life that you love permission to be that real version of themselves as well.
And honestly, they don't need your permission. They should just do it. Like on an individual basis, oh, we should give people permission to be who they are. No, they should just be who they are. Like, I hope you guys are feeling this today. Like, this is such a ground floor, foundational principle of what we talk about a lot on this show. Of if you can't be you, how do you expect all these other things that we talk about on this show to fall into place? Now, a lot of what you are is what we talked about last week with the Enneagram, but some of it is you are being influenced by the map. I guess, how do you help people recognize they're hiding under layers? Because if you're hiding under layers, maybe you're so deep in that layer, you don't even recognize, like you said earlier, people don't know who the real them is. So how do we kind of get into that? I can tell my story about how I did it. It was just methodical, little by little. I think you get this feeling when you're going through life that kind of makes you go, that ain't right. Like, I need to change things. I need to make a decision that's going to be a big decision. And then once that big decision happens, it feels like you just busted through a wall that you've had button heads with for years. And once you bust through that wall and you come out the other side, you're like, wow, Narnia looks cool.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. So last year, I've talked about 2020 and what it was for me. Obviously, everybody had a hell year last year. I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, 2020 was my year. I don't know anybody. But at the same time, last year was a monumental year for me. Taking into account everything that was happening and taking into the account that I almost died in January. I was bedridden until God, near almost April. I couldn't do anything. Um, I was like, you know what? Brittany ain't playing this game anymore. Brittany don't want to live where she grew up. Brittany wants to get out of here. And Brittany did. And we bought a house. Yeah, it's not far from where I live, but I had a lot of family members upset. How dare you leave this? How dare you leave this comfortability? How do you, like, this is where I grew up. They almost took it as an offense thing of, what do you mean you don't want to grow up here? This is where I grew up. What's wrong with here? And it wasn't about anybody else. Like, listen, if you love where you live there. But I didn't. And I had to break free. And like, I walked into my new house like, someone just opened the door. And I'm not gonna lie, I went through like this existential crisis of, who the hell am I? I have no idea. I'm not in my comfort place. What is this?
That is a great point, that when you start becoming the real you, you're going to feel like you're being fake. Let me tell you, I felt that a lot as I've been doing this work on myself. When I started discovering who I am, it's a whole radically new person, maybe, than what you were before, because you've been hiding in that old hometown where you were abused sexually at 12 years old. Until you got out of that house, a lot of stuff happened right where you were. And it wasn't until you physically left the old you and then you walked into the front door of this brand new house. It's a gorgeous house, by the way. I've been there. It's a nice neighborhood. The kids are going to love growing up there. But you walk into this door, and that's literally physically walking into the new you, the new life that you have. You now will have memories of where you are right now that you physically left. And I want people to have that as well. Like, when you leave the old version of yourself that's not the authentic real you, you're going to feel weird, but then you're kind of going to go, but I like this new version. You love that house. You got a friend's coffee little corner. You got the kids' little unlearning schooling thing. You got little play, and then you're in your podcast recording room and all the other work you're going to be working on in 2021. Like, this is the exciting part of finding out who the real you is.
Absolutely. And we didn't really talk about it yet. Maybe, I mean, we might miss the whole January talking about resolutions and the word of the year stuff, but my word of the year this year was fruition. And that's just what I feel like. I am just walking into the real me, walking into authenticity, walking into all the dreams that I have planned for so long. And like, I'm at the point where this is the me, this is the real me. And hope you like it. If not, I do. So that's all that matters, right?
By the way, you inspired me to do kind of a word phrase of the year too. I'm not a resolution guy. I'm not like that. So, but when you said word of the year, I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of like the vibe of kind of giving your year a theme. Although last year's word for you was
elevate.
Elevate. Did you get elevated?
I was real careful in picking my word of the year this year because I didn't realize that picking the word elevate would mean I have to hit freaking rock bottom in order to elevate. I had no idea.
I'm surprised you didn't do like enrich or something as your word. Or
Oh my gosh, I learned a lot.
My word for 2021, it's a phrase, is new beginnings. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, I feel like living in my true authentic self, it is a new beginning and everything's new again. And so, yeah, that's just an ancillary. If you haven't picked a word of the year, guys, it's kind of a cool little project and it's not too late. Go ahead and do it now. That way you just kind of have a vision for what you want to do. And I love yours, fruition. And you're already kind of living some of that fruition now. Well, this podcast is a manifestation of some fruition. Hopefully very soon we'll be on the podcasting formats. It's taking a little while, but once it's there, that's a fruition. You even told me, it's cool and all, it's just on YouTube and on Facebook and all the places. I want to see it on the podcast because then it becomes real. Yeah, I love it. Like all of that has to do with what we're talking about here today, of just being who we are. And not apologizing for it. I think so many people, well, if I'm who I really am, people won't like me and I'll have to like go behind. No, like just let what be.
Yes, and you will be shocked as you step into your true authentic self, as you step into who you are. That's what you crave. Like you start seeing the other people that live in the boxes and you feel sorry for them, you feel sad for them, and like you just wish, hey babe, break out of that box, please. Like you're only harming yourself. Like, show me the real you. And so me and Jimmy like to joke around about my music taste, because looking at me, you would not guess that I love hardcore heavy metal music. But why? But that's the question. Why do I? Because it's real. It's real. You listen to the lyrics. It's real what people are feeling right now. I mean, I love all kinds of music. I love NF. I think he brands himself NF Real Music. Like,
Right.
he has real lyrics and he's not hiding behind all of the things. And so
Yeah.
I crave authenticity everywhere. It's why Jimmy and I have been such great friends over the last 2-ish years, somewhere around there. I don't know.
Definitely a lot more the past year, but yes.
Yes, exactly. And I've craved that. And how many times have I said to you, like, I'm sick and tired of the fakery? That's where, I mean, One Step Deeper was born out of that. I'm tired of it.
And you know what, I guess got my attention with you is, guys, if you're not following her on Instagram, go follow Brittany Lee, Brittany with 2 T's, A-N-Y. I would hope they know how to spell your name by now, being on the show, but yeah, go follow her, because like when you write, you cut deep, because I can feel it. And in fact, you've been writing for the One Step Deeper podcast social media pages as well, and you, every time you write, I feel that, and that's special. Like, I hope you know how special that is. I can write I guess the traditional polished, version of things, and I can go raw as well. I don't show that side of me often, but I've been showing more of it like the past year and a half. And I was always kind of concerned, will that resonate? Oh my God, does it resonate? Like, I have more engagement on those kinds of posts now. And I think it's because people crave it. They don't always know how to articulate what they're feeling. And some of these posts that both of us write, it opens up these opportunities. Like, I had a girl, I talked about the whole Cosmopolitan cover and all the controversy with the girl and I am healthy and blah, blah, blah. I talked about that as of the recording of this yesterday. And it inspired somebody to do a Instagram video giving their thoughts on it. And it was just like, wow, like, that's powerful. When you start becoming the real you start showing authenticity. Oftentimes it breeds more realness and more authenticity out of others, which is why you and I just exude it in all of our work, including right here on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm just like, let's just start the trend. Okay. Let's just start the trend of breaking through the bullshit of every single day, people walking through life being who they think they're supposed to be, and breaking off the I should be like this or I should be like that, or just breaking all of that off and just walk into authenticity. Like, do yourself a favor, do everybody in the world a favor. And again, maybe your authentic self doesn't resonate with some people, but I'm telling you, it will open up another side when you resonate with the people who care about you, and you resonate with the people that are like, yes, that's the real you, let me have it. Like, I can tell when the people in my family start putting on the mask for whatever reason. If they're having a hard time, I do that. I used to do that. I would just put on a mask, but now I just retreat and I'm like, oop, not myself right now. I'm not going to bring this.
But that's a form of a mask. It blocks people from seeing you. There's many times when you've retreated that I've wanted to talk, because I knew I could offer, and you finally did open the door this week. There was a moment where, nope, not going to talk. I'm like, just call. And you called, and everything was fine after about an hour and 20 minutes of talking. But like, that was big for you to show the real you. Like, and even if showing the real you only starts with people who won't judge you, who care about you, do that. Like, I show you sides, Brittany, of me that I don't really always show the whole world, just because of our bond as friends. And you do the same thing. You've shown signs of you that I've never seen you kind of show to the world either. And that's okay. Like, if you have to incrementally get yourself there where you're comfortable with it, that's okay.
Yeah, you don't have to be the real you all at once. Like, because that's overwhelming even for ourselves. But yeah, I think about dating. So when my husband started, I can't even tell everybody this story. You guys are going to judge me. I'm just kidding. When we started dating, I had gotten out of a relationship beforehand, and I spent like 9 months just pining and just in a horrible place, and so I was determined I was going to be 100%. This is me. I'm not putting on any fakery.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Exactly. That's it. I was like, I'm going to be the real me, because I'm not going to walk into a relationship wasting however much time people waste on being this prim, perfect, whatever they're supposed to be. I'm walking into this the real me. And my husband did the same thing. And 3 days and 3 dates into our relationship, I got a kid trying to get in the door. Oops. Oh goodness. 3 days and 3 dates in, we exchanged I love yous. And people would judge that. Yeah, people would judge that, say, oh, there's no way. Oh no, there was a way. There was a way, because both of us we didn't have to break through all of the mold, like all of the onion layers. Like, we just were ourselves, and I like that. I love that. Yeah.
Man, you bring up such a good point. When you're real with other people, you fast forward a lot of the cultural norms of timelines and what's supposed to happen and da da da. When you get real with real, they feel that there's a magnetic energy there. I'm sure you had that with Wild Man, literally had that with Wild Man. And look how long you've been together. What, 8, 10 years, whatever it's been?
Years. Going into 11.
Oh, 11. Okay. Almost 11. But yeah, being the real you, there's a magic to it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Like, and going back to the relationship, it's so sad to me that there are people out there in relationships that can't be the real them within their relationship. Like that. And I know we can't go too deep on this topic, but I know for sure that there are so many people that are just struggling where they go to work and they're this version of themselves, and they come home and they can't be the real them. They can't let loose. They're always walking on eggshells. I'm like, that is no way to live. Like, I dare you, like, if you're in, a dating stage, when you go into a relationship, please put in any, don't be fake, because you're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
Everybody's time.
For many years, when I've negotiated like podcast sponsorships with their various businesses, the first thing I'll say is, you want my real opinion, or you want the opinion you want to hear about your product? All of them, oh, we really want to hear what you have to say. All right, well, this is the worst protein bar I've ever tasted in my life. It's gross. You should probably go out of business. Okay, how do we improve? I'm like, start over. Because I'm looking at the ingredients. This is crap. I could not push this on my followers. I would not push this on my followers. Maybe try using this ingredient instead of that ingredient. Oh, and maybe you should try to use this version of it. And I would give them some unsolicited free advice. So I was actually helping them. But it was a shock. And even my publisher, same thing. I said, can I speak freely? Said, yeah. I don't like this process. I don't like what's going on. You can put my words back in. Like, I would fight them, but guess what? They always respected that you were real with them. And when you're the real you and you don't play the games, it makes life so much more fun.
And what's crazy is you've even challenged me to go even deeper on who I am, because my tendency, if I ever react in anger, I always stop. I'm like, okay, there's a problem here, because for me, anger is not an emotion. Anger is a reaction, and it's always a deeper reaction of something, like I may react and I'm angry, but what I'm really feeling is hurt or frustrated, or there's some always an undercover feeling with anger. And you and I had our own little thing where I was like, no, man, that was the real me, and you edited that. What the hell, man? And that was me. That was my reaction. And so what did I do? I go quiet, because that's what I do. But in the end, that we were able to meet in the middle. And now I know, okay, let me be upfront. I was real. I was raw. This is the real me. How can we take this and polish it without me feeling like it changed? And so I know, like, you went through that process when you were writing books of, hey man, I worked so hard on that. What the hell? Like I was being authentic, I was being real, and you're just gonna take it all away. And so, like, and it's hard to, because you will be met with people in your life that don't accept the real version of you, that don't like the real you, or think you should be this way or that way. And that's another level you have to deal with.
And what do you do with those people? Like, some of them, do you have to play fake around that? Like, I know people in your life that you have to somewhat play a game to go along, to get along. There are people, and you can't cut them out. So because of that, and I've got those people in my life as well, because of that, you do have to kind of walk the line of, on occasion, in circumstances, not being 100% the real you, because if you were, it would leave you vulnerable to attack. And you have to protect your emotional energy, and just protect those relationships that you really can't just throw away. We talked about that right before Christmas, being around people you don't really like. You kind of have to play a little bit of a game in that. But the preponderance of what we're saying on this episode is, be you as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, if you're not you enough of the time that you're living life, then whose life are you living? It ain't yours.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are people that I play the game with. I am never not the real me. Like I'm going to be the real me, but it might just be one of those days where I walk in and I'm just like, "What's up, guys? How are you today?" These are my favorite glasses ever.
I know.
Okay.
When,
But it might just be one of those times where I don't feel like I have to share my opinions. You know, when I'm around people who don't accept it, I just leave my opinions to myself.
although you have told me if they ask, I'm going to tell them. I do warn them. Hey, you really want to know?
Exactly, just like you. Don't ask the question if you don't want to know the real answer because I'm not going to lie to you. Do not ask me if you are not ready. I don't know how many times I've spoken those words to my mom. Mom, don't open that door. Don't open that door if you're not ready for it. And my mom and I have butted heads a lot, but I love mine and her relationship. And I have spoken this to her. We are at a place where we know going in, we believe totally opposites. And we tiptoe lightly into those conversations of, I know you believe this way. You know I believe this way. Let's see. Let's not holler or fuss or feel like we hate each other because we have opposing opinions. Tell me why you believe what you believe. And I'll tell you why I believe what I believe. And can we meet somewhere in the middle? You be the real you, and I'm going to be the real me. And let's see if we can meet somewhere in the middle and have this beautiful relationship of human beings challenging each other to grow and learn. And like, man, you want to light my fire? That's it. Having a conversation with Jimmy where he brings his opinions and I have an opposing opinion, but we're able to talk about it and we're able to learn, oh, the why and all that stuff. That gets my wheels going more than anything else. That's real Brittany right there.
Can you imagine in the society we're in now, if everybody took that point of view you just expressed of it's okay to be different, it's okay to have these differences, even differences of opinion that are diametrically opposite. Like how awesome would the world be if we recognized those differences and celebrated them rather than saying, well, because you have this difference, talking about your like your mom, for example, because you and I believe so differently, you're the enemy. And it's like that's become the norm. It never was the norm when I was younger, but it's certainly the norm now.
When you begin, and this is another part of this, man, this one has just gone so deep. When you begin to see people not through your own lens, but when you begin to see them through the lens of they've been through trauma, and you see them through the lens of they are the way they are today because of the things that have happened to them in their life, and they have not gone on a growth. They don't know how to because we don't teach that in our society. I'm hoping to change that where we teach people to have freaking emotions, especially as children. Let's teach children how to have emotions. Hold on, let me pull that one back in because um, but when you start seeing people through a different lens of they are a human being who've had an experience in their life, and that experience has now been triggered, and so they're angry about something. If you can just kind of cut through that anger, and I can do that in a second. I have a great family member that I love so much. She's kind of new in our family, and when I get her alone and she starts talking, I can pick it out and just like see her right in that. She's like, oh my God, how did you do that? I'm like, experience on my own. And just being able to, oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought, of course, in the middle of that. Um, oh gosh. All right, you go. I lost my train of thought.
I'm going to make you flail because that's the real you. Oh, no, I can save you. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely go in a million directions with this one, but I guess the bottom line of what we're communicating here today is just recognize when you're not being who you are. And I think when you have awareness of this and when you have become awakened to all the things that you've told yourself that, I don't really like that. And for many years, I did that. Like I conformed to what others said I was supposed to like in terms of like musical taste. Although in high school, when I was being abused, my dad in his restaurants would always play country music. And I hate country music with a passion. Yes, I'm a Southern boy and I hate country music.
Okay.
But I was into like pop music, and I was getting into some of the contemporary Christian music at the time. I loved Stephen Curtis Chapman and Larnell Harris and Sandy Patty, Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith. And so I would listen to those things. And of course, my dad being who he is, turn that N-word music off. And I'm like, really? Like, they're not even, what? I know, it's bad. And trust me, that man has always been the real him. Or if the assholery is not real, he's covering up pain, which I kind of know he is covering up pain from his childhood trauma that he never resolved, still hasn't resolved. Anyway, he would play that country music overhead. And dang it, if not after 2-3 years, I'm starting to sing these stupid songs. All my exes live in Texas. I'm like, why am I singing this song? Like, I know a 3-year stretch in the late 80s of country music songs just because it was kind of forced on me. And how many things do we still hold on to and retain just because there was a period of time in your life that it was forced onto you? And so let that sink in, guys, of what you think might be the real you might have been so heavily imprinted on you. And I think, Brittany, the trauma makes it even more accentuated and deeper inside of you of what you think you are.
Oh, absolutely. And so that's when I said a couple years ago, I literally looked at my life and I realized how much of my personality was trauma. And I'm like, big F word to that. Like, no, I am not here to live my life to just showcase, oh, I've had trauma. I would rather, so I threw it all out. Guys, like, I threw it all out. I threw out religion. I threw out everything I'd ever been taught in school. I threw out everything that society had ever taught me. I had threw out everything that society taught me about homeschooling and parenting and about all of the things. I threw it out and I started over. I started looking at people. I started watching YouTube. I started learning for myself. I started reading articles. I dove so deep in, okay, movie, so good. Disney movie, it's brand new. It's called Soul. Basically, I became 22 again, okay? And like, I'm like, I'm a blank slate. Let me learn for myself. I don't want any conditioning. I don't want any bit of society trying to control what I believe, what I see, what I think, how I am. Me. I'm going to create the real me. And so I had very little baseline other than knowing that I was a perfectionist, and that's a personality trait, and it accentuates with trauma. I started all the way over, and just step by step by step, I continue to be the real me and create the real me. And that's why I am the way I am today, because I threw it all out. I was like, nope. And you know what? It doesn't mean that I didn't pull some of that back and like, okay, yes, I've examined this. I like this. Let's keep that. Like, I was a little kid that put all the blocks in front of me, and I'm looking at all the blocks. Oh, that one's pretty. I like that one. Oh, I like this one. That one's pretty. And that's pretty much what I did to create this version of myself.
Now I've got all these country music songs going through my head. You can eat crackers in my bed anytime, baby. Oh, yeah. Barbara Mandrell, I think is who that one was. Anyway, isn't it funny? Like, what?
Crackers in the bed? No. My perfectionist is like, hell no. We eat crackers at the table.
You need to go look that song up. Let's see if Alexa knows it. Alexa, play You Can Eat Crackers in My Bed, Barbara Mandrell.
I couldn't find You Can Eat Crackers in My Bed by Barbara Mandrell. Other music.
Alexa, stop.
My husband probably knows it.
What?
Wow, man, I'm sure knows it.
Oh, I'm sure he does. It was a big country music hit in like 87, 88, somewhere in there. Real you. Are you guys feeling more real now? Are you feeling the gumption to at least open that door of opportunity to stop being somebody you're not? Brittany and I have done this work, and we're still doing this work. You're never done with the work. You constantly find things about yourself that are beautiful. Like I love the man I am now because I've been willing to let go of things that I thought I was, and now I know who I am a little better than I did even a month ago, a year ago.
Absolutely. And I think I always like giving, advice of how to do this. I don't want to just talk about my experience. I want to give advice. And so the thing that it takes forever, like Jimmy said, you're constantly learning about yourself. You're constantly, am I being the real me? You're always kind of checking that. And so anytime I get triggered by something or something brings up anger, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know about that. What can I go deeper into? Where is this anger coming from? Why do I feel this? I become extremely objective. It's funny, I saw a guy do this on TikTok where he just starts going off and he's like, oh, hold on a second. And he kind of comes out of his body and he's just sitting and letting himself kind of do that. And he's like, what do you want? What? And he's like, nothing. Go ahead. You have your moment. I'm just observing. And so when you kind of come out of yourself and just observe, whoa, girl, you having some feelings. What we feeling? You might not be able to process through it in that very moment, but when you step back and observe, okay, why am I feeling this? Why am this way? It begins to uncover that real version of yourself, because if you're reacting in anger over something, chances are you quieted some feeling, you've quieted some side of yourself for too long. And now that self is like, hey, I'm here. Like, I'm here. So, yeah.
Wow, what an episode this one was. And the fun part, you guys, we don't prepare notes. We just get a topic, and she and I just do what Brittany and I do all the time. It's just we talk, and we go a million steps deeper when we do that. Next week's show, though, guys, you don't want to miss, because it was inspired by a post this little lady wrote about I don't have to, I get to, and it was based on a conversation she and I were having. And you were in one of your down moments, and you were like, I have to, da-da-da. I'm like, no, you get to. And you're like, damn it, Jimmy. Yeah, I get to. So it was such.
What? You inspire me, and I inspire you, and then we inspire each other. Like, yes, it's great. Because you said that one word, and I was like, oh, I have to write about that.
Yes. And so you did write about it, and we had such a phenomenal reaction. And we're doing this. Go to One Step Deeper Podcast on Instagram, One Step Deeper Podcast Community on Facebook. We are doing regular posts outside of this podcast. So when you guys respond to something big, we know that's something you want to hear more about. So we're going to do that next week on the One Step Deeper Podcast with this I don't have to, I get to topic. So real excited to get some expanded thoughts from you, and you get to hear from me about what I think about it. But guys, onestepdeeperpodcast.com is the website. Go check us out. Hopefully by now, maybe soon, sort of, kind of, we're on all the formats for listening to the podcast: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all the regular usual formats that you listen to podcasts. And Brittany, fun episode. Thanks for being.
Yes, absolutely. This is great.
Thanks so much for being you.
Yes, you too.